Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm on the women's soccer team at Northwestern University. I would say some of the best advice that I've been given is just work on your own. Like everything that you put in will eventually reward you. And I think even if it's little, like one thing at a time, it'll eventually come back and you'll realize it maybe not all at once, but slowly you'll feel confident or gain just like little steps. And I would say that that's the best thing I've ever been told. Mindset, I think, is a big one. Like no matter like what the drill is, like if we're doing something that I'm not necessarily like that's not my strong suit, just knowing that like the mindset of I'm just going to do this because it'll make me better and I don't need to be perfect. I just need to execute what I know I can do. Effort's a big one. I think putting your best effort into everything, like no matter what it is always going to give you like some sort of reward. And like if you put effort in, you're always gonna like improve at least a little bit because you're training yourself to always put your full effort in. I would say always overdo when we have a hard practice. We always take a cherry juice, making sure you get your protein in like an hour after practice. I would say one of like the best coaches I've ever worked with was like very strict about getting those 20 grams of protein in within an hour after practice. And it just helps you feel so much better the next day, and it gives you the ability to build on that instead of being set back because you had a hard training and your muscles are now recovering because you didn't properly fuel. And pre-fueling is also really important, so you feel your best during that workout and give yourself the best opportunity to have a successful training. I came from a club where it wasn't necessarily like a normal thing to go to a Power 4 school. So that was really tough because I didn't really have any like people around me who I could like ask questions and like be like, how'd you do that and that. So that was something I struggled with. And then my sophomore year and junior year, I struggled with had a knee surgery, and that was something that was like right at the beginning of recruiting. So I started a little bit later, and then at the end of recruiting, I had a second surgery, and so that was difficult as I didn't really know like how to navigate that with recruiting and like COVID and not having enough film, and so that was something that I struggled with. Yeah, so I overcame those things by I really leaned on one of my coaches, and he was really willing to grow with me. He hadn't had a lot of people like go Power 4, and so he was also learning and recruiting and like doing his job, and I would lean on him because we were both learning together and like how did you talk to this coach versus this coach, and like what kind of things were you asking, and like your what did I want from that, and really narrowing down like what I wanted and doing a lot of research like externally and like looking at people who I didn't know, like not weren't necessarily in my club, but like looking at people on the internet was like a big thing of like how did they get recruited. And there's a lot of like YouTube videos out there for like people just wanting to help because the recruitment process is so difficult. There's a lot of people that really want to help the younger generations. My personal recruitment story is probably a little bit different. I coming from a smaller club in a smaller area that soccer is not really like a big thing. Like there's not a lot of people who go and play in college. I was like one of two girls in my area who went and played soccer in college. So that was an interesting thing. I played a lot with the older teams growing up, which helped because while they were at college showcases, I could get exposure even though I couldn't talk to the coaches. They were able to see me, and so I would just email them a lot. Like you got to email way more than you think. You can be annoying, like the more annoying the better. So I started by making like a list of schools that I wanted that would fit me academically and for soccer. And then I kind of like cross matched those and came up with about 20 schools that I thought would be a good idea for me. And then I went and looked at those schools, like the top, I would say top 5 that I really, really liked and like thought would be a good idea. I went into did a lot of ID camps because a lot of coaches weren't coming to my area as we're like not known for soccer, so I had to go to them a lot of the time. So I did a lot of ID camps, a lot of travel, a lot of emails, and then I played in the ECNL selection game, and that was a really big breakthrough for my recruiting moment. I played well and got a few emails after that showcase, and was able to contact some of the coaches, and they actually responded. And Northwestern was one of those asking if I would come to an ID camp. And then from there, I did a lot of research on the Northwestern coaches, saw if I had any connections with them, and one of our assistant coaches actually grew up with my high school coach, and so I ended up emailing my high school coach. And I wasn't actually playing high school at the time because of my knee, but I asked him if he could like refer me to the Northwestern coach and just like hype me up and like give me some sort of like connection. And then I came to an ID camp and loved the facilities, loved the coaches, loved the girls. It was just such a great environment. And the emphasis on sports as well as academics and like the person as well. I really just like fell in love with everything. And they always say like, you'll know when you know. And I feel like I really knew when I came here. Yes, so I went undefeated in high school. It was a lot of fun. My high school is one of the smaller ones in the area, so we didn't have as many like club soccer players. So it was definitely like a team effort. Everyone was like learning and growing, and we had a lot of different levels of players. And so I think coming in as a freshman, it was actually during COVID, and it was our first, like we were in spring, they moved it so we could play. Coming in as a freshman who had like probably one of the more experienced soccer careers, even coming as a freshman was hard because I didn't know like the leadership balance of like I'm a freshman, but like I know what to do and these seniors like don't. And so that was a really like I would say critical part for me where like I can take leadership as a freshman, and I really focused on like encouraging and like building on things that people already knew instead of like completely like reconstructing what they already knew, because a lot of people came in with some soccer experience, but they came and I think our team worked really well together because everyone had a consensus that like we're one team and like we might not all be at the same level, but like you really have to foster everyone's abilities and you can't just like only focus on the 2 club players on the team, because at the end of the day there's 11 people on the field and each of those 11 people are really critical in having a successful season. And we had a lot of opponents in the off season or in the postseason that were way better than us, should have won every single time. And we just had that grit and care. And we as a team knew that we were going to win because we worked the hardest. And although we might not have been technically the best 11 players on the field, we were going to win because we wanted to win. And that was something that was just so fun to be a part of. And we knew each game going in that we were going to win because we wanted it more than the other team. Why Northwestern? I always wanted a school where sports were really cared about. I came from a smaller high school and sports weren't as big of a deal. And so I knew going into a college I wanted somewhere where sports were big, but school was also big. School has always been like a big part of my life. My parents have always like drilled the importance of academics and like buying into your future. And soccer, you don't know how far soccer is going to take you, but you know that if you are good in the classroom that you can always fall back on a degree. And so I was really looking for a school that had both, and it really had the best of both. And I'm from California, and I always knew I wanted to go far from home. And so it was like a perfect, like, I'm not completely East Coast, but it's still a flight away. And there's a body of water I really wanted to be near. I didn't want to be landlocked. So I really liked that. Coming as a freshman, the biggest thing I've learned is just how important the little things are. You could be the fastest, but you could also have the most like technical feet. But at the end of the day, it's like the little things. It's like your mindset is really going to take you far. Drilling those like little things in practice, really caring about, I would say care, and like our team is a team that cares so much, and you can never care enough. I think that there's so many things that our team has like taught me just about like the little games that we play in practice and how like that translates in the game, and how it might not seem like it in the moment, but the mindset that you have in those little moments of in warm-ups, in the drills, in the scrimmages are always going to lead to the games because you're training yourself in those small environments for the big ones. From the older girls, I've learned just you also need to relax. Like you also need to take days off. And I think our freshman class coming in was very much go, go, go and like train 2 times a day. And we were here in the summer by ourselves. And we were here at the field morning and night and like all day. And the upperclassmen were like, you need to just like take care of your body. And they all are very good at that. And the rest, but also they push themselves when they push themselves, but they also take the rest when they need to rest. And I think that's like a big thing, especially because I've been injured before, is like learning that it's okay to take a off day and that it's actually going to benefit you in the future when you are more recovered and are able to train harder. Balancing is definitely a tough one. I've learned how to use a calendar. I'm a big Apple Calendar fan. They can now put the reminders in there. So I'm pretty organized with that. I plan out everything I'm going to do in my day. I have a to-do list. So that's like my main thing. Everything I know I need to do for the day and then the week will be in my to-do list so I don't forget anything. That's a big one. I really use that Apple Calendar reminders. I would tell my early high school self that it will all work out. It's such a stressful process, like it really is, and you're not the only one doing it. Like there's so many girls across the country who are feeling the exact same way, and no matter what program you end up at, you will find success and you'll find people who care about the game so much and have been through so many of the same things as you. And I think high school is like a really isolating time for someone who's being recruited and doesn't have like I didn't have any friends who were going through the recruitment process. You're doing the college process so much earlier than anyone else, and knowing that in the reality of it, everyone who is going to the same place that you'll end up at also will relate to you and will have shared the same struggles, and you'll be able to laugh at it going into college now because it was such a stressful time, but now it's like such a funny thing to look back at. Some advice I would give to younger athletes is be yourself. Like you really want to find somewhere that cares for who you are as the person too, because everyone's going to care about the soccer. Really know what you want in a school. I think a lot of people just look for like the big flashy things, but it's really important to like look at what you want, and that's going to at the end of the day give you like your best outcome, and you're going to be the happiest wherever you go. And I would say you really just put your full effort in because you'll never be in that moment again. And if you look back and think, oh, I could have done this, I could have written one more email, I could have talked to one more coach, you'll regret it. And so if you just do as much as you possibly can, it's a lot of work, but it really does pay off in the end. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm on the women's soccer team at Northwestern University, and you can check me out at Next Level Prep.